But when he was president of the United States, is the most powerful man in the free world. Do you think he would tell Michelle, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to text you. I'm the president. I didn't have time to get back to you. Sorry, baby, you have to go figure out what you want to do with the family because I'm the president. I guarantee you it never came up. Why? Because as much as he's the president, his wife, his love life is his priority. We can, especially now with technology, we can text, we can send a voice note, we can do a video. There's so many ways to stay connected with somebody you care about, someone you're dating, someone you're in a relationship with. So when someone says, I'm too busy, it's just an excuse. They're saying, you're not enough of a priority for me to adjust my day to communicate with you. I want to say it that clearly, not to upset you, not to depress you, but to prepare you. So when you get that, you then can say, okay, this person may not be my person because they're communicating that I'm not their priority. And don't be emotional about it. Say, okay, I'm not your priority. I'm glad to know that. But what I know is anyone that really cares and that does not want to lose you, they're going to prioritize you. Period. End of story.
You want to take this first?
Shut the fuck up. Is it Devin or Devon?
I don't know. Mr. Not So Good.
Right, Mr. Not So Good. Yeah, I think that when I hear that, and maybe in the context of he's talking about people that were married, maybe that could be the only thing I could think of. Because the first time I heard that clip, I basically said to myself, bro, who the hell crowned you the speaker of men? Or in relationships in general? Who died and put you in charge? Because that's just like the most falsified shit ever. Maybe for you, when you don't text somebody back, that's your explanation of, I don't really care about it. Maybe. Speak for yourself. I don't put any merit into anything that he just said. And then on top of that, I mean, let's keep it 100 too. Let's even go back to his Obama spiel about it. I'm sure that nigga was busy at one point and didn't text her back.
Nah, it didn't happen because she knew not to fucking text him because he's leading the fucking free world.
That too, And so I don't know, man. It just when I heard it, it lit a fire under me, and I know that you were getting ready to just do an emergency pod to go ahead and get that out at the time. And I've even since cooled down a little bit because when I first saw it, I just was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Gosh, and I know that we probably should have kept it a little curse word free, right?
Fuck it. No. Fuck that. Because we got this simp ass shit on here. And the problem is, right, I put it on my story all the time. I hope that post gets you what you want. What I'm really saying is, I hope that post gets you some pussy from some hurt woman who is dumb and falls for the fucking trap.
Yep.
And there's so many levels to this thing, right? You're not a priority if I'm busy right now. If I'm busy and I don't communicate with you. You know what? At this moment, you're not a fucking priority. You're not. When I'm at work, my wife texts me, I get to it when I get to it. You know why? I'm at work. She's not my priority while I'm at work. Work is my priority when I'm at work. We're going to a bachelor party this weekend. Will I talk to my wife while we're there? Yes. Will I FaceTime her because I have a young daughter? More than likely. But is she my priority while I'm at the bachelor party? No. I am there to enjoy my friends and celebrate another guy jumping the broom. And that's okay. Like these fake ass relationship gurus, these fake ass relationship doctors come up with this way of how you're supposed to manage your relationship. And I go, no, you do what works for you. Like some men have a harem and all of them know each other. Some men have to sneak and cheat. Some men, one woman all the time, straight and narrow. Some people are single. Some people are open. There is no guide to having a healthy relationship. So anytime somebody's trying to sell you on how to have a healthy relationship and they're fucking divorced.
And we're apparently living, by the Bible type relationship. That's the way, at least, that it was always made out to be prior to their the dating phase and the marriage phase with his specific marriage.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's just any merit that could come from that, because at the end of the day, what do you mean if I don't text you back basically you're almost saying if I don't text you back immediately that you're not a priority. And that just sounds like a hurt person. Like, to me, it sounds like somebody that's hurt, because on both ends of the spectrum, if there's a woman that feels that way, that, hey, he might be fucking doing something, right? Or maybe he doesn't have the time to even put in the energy. Like, what do you want me to do? Just text you all day? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? Because at that point, that's the card that we're pulling, that you can just do this at any time. And it's not okay. That's not okay to do. Like,
bro, controlling narcissist, right? And a lot of times I see these, especially these relationship guys who are giving all these gems. And
is that what he is now? I don't even know what he was.
I think he was a preacher, right? But when you listen, so many of these things I listen to, I go, you're speaking from a place of hurt, a place of trauma, a place of insecurity, place of narcissism, control. Like, hey, if you're busy, I assume that when you don't text me back, you are doing something that does not allow you to text me. And when people run to, oh, but they could be laid up with somebody. You know how easy it is to text somebody while you're laying in bed with someone else? God forbid that person you're laying with knows your entire situation, and you go, hold on, I gotta send this text, or hold on, I gotta take this call. Like,
right.
These little traps that the weak try to put in to stop cheating, they don't work.
And if anything, I think that you're more attentive in that type of situation in reality. Because of what it is that you're doing, you're going to be much more likely to be checking that and making sure that you're not leaving any type of droppings that would even lead in that direction. You might be like I said, you might be an even better texter in that type of situation on purpose, obviously. So,
but dog, it's the fucking hurt women and the suck ass men who create so many different narratives that don't even mesh up with like how it actually works when you're talking to guys who may or may not live that life or have lived that life. It's like, is there something I'm missing? No. Well, why is that bartender looking at you like that? I don't know. She thinks I'm cute. I'm a regular here. Anything more? No. Do you think I would voluntarily bring you to a place where I am banging the bartender? You didn't ask to come here. I said, let's go here.
More importantly, she could be just looking because I'm always in here by myself, and she's just surprised to see that there's a guest with me to begin with.
Well, why would she?
We don't get into what our lives entail. All I know is that she makes a mean, Long Island iced tea, a strong island iced tea. That's the extent of, and I know her name. You know what I mean? She doesn't know anything about me. Doesn't know if I got kids. Doesn't know if I'm married. Doesn't know my best friend's name. Doesn't know my fucking favorite. Well, she might know my favorite team, but that's only because I'm coming in here to watch the game. So of course she knows who I'm always rooting for. And she knows my drink order. That's it.
You pour strong, I tip long. It works for both of us.
We can both be heavy-handed tonight.
Exactly. And for those of you who don't know this, if you're out there and you're trying to nail bartenders, she's winning all the time, okay? She has too much control. So slow down. 2, it's not worth it. The bar is full of women. But getting a bartender who will serve you when it's busy without having to talk to you, who will give you strong pours, who won't make you give her a card for a damn tab, and will come up with a random number that you have to pay at the end of the night consistently, is better than sex. I'm sorry. It is better than sex. A great bartender, better than sex.
Being plugged in. I mean, that's what it is, being plugged in, especially when you set it up to where these are different places that you're going, and If you do decide to bring people with you and they can get in on the fun with you too, like, hey, like even if it's, you know, I guess it just depends on like the type of situation, but even like at Falcons games, right? For me, you guys come in,
Yep.
I done already paid this man. He gets what he's going to get anyways. Gonna pour us up. Gonna make sure we okay.
You came to the bar, my bar out in PB in San Diego, right?
Yes.
With Miss Rachel. Like, hey, we show up. What are you guys drinking? It's the 32-ounce Coke glass, and it's a single.
Right. You know, and
I'm not getting charged till round 3.
Well, exactly. And so, you know, that's another part. But before we even get too far off from from Devon or whatever that nigga's name is, people need to start thinking before they speak. And I think that in his situation, he's on a podcast. I think he knew that it was going to make his rounds to spiritual word and stuff like that, especially considering there's so many hurt people that get on these gossip type platforms and pages and stuff so that they can be validated by the way that they feel because somebody else said it and it got put online, you know? And it's just one of those things where, well, I'm sorry, bro, if you're saying that you're never not busy enough to not answer, that's a you thing. I tell you what, good for you. You know what I mean? Good for you, bud. But like, no, there are people out here that do have lives and actually do have things that they have to do. And they can't just be at the waking call of whether that be necessarily your wife, somebody you're talking to. It doesn't mean that you're not interested. It means that I've got something I need to handle and that this is on the back burner in comparison to that. Or who knows? Maybe I didn't even fucking see the message. These things happen too. It's not I looked at it and then put my phone down and went back to work. That could be it, but that isn't necessarily always it either. I might have not seen it. I might be that fucking busy, you know? And I know that at one point during my dating phase, there were some people that were upset at me for something similar to that. And I looked at it this way. You know, I think some people sometimes forget that I run a company, literally. I think that people forget that sometimes and that they think that maybe I'm like them sitting at work bored and I'm on my phone, you know, 24/7 and I'm not really doing work or something like that. Or maybe I'm not fucking driving somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm not on a plane and then maybe I didn't get the Wi-Fi. Like, I think that people just don't take a second to think. They just kind of say, and then they wait for kind of what's going to react to that.
Yeah, man. Or maybe some people's partner is a higher priority in their life than others, right?
But that doesn't even necessarily mean that either.
Well, I'm just saying a general thing, right? Like,
yeah,
some people would choose love over financial stability. I won't. Like, I'm not gonna be broke. Sorry.
Ain't nobody gonna be happy. Oh yeah, girl, I love you, but fuck, we got to get out of here. We're getting evicted. You know, baby, we don't have enough for that infamil. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no,
yeah. But I love you though. Like, I fucking love you. We can love each other fucking out here at begging for money, all because boss caught me on my phone texting you because you wanted to say what am I doing or whatever, and you know I'm at fucking work and you know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, like I'm at work.
You know that it's a Monday through Friday and it's the middle of the day and that 9 times out of 10 I'm not on lunch break. So it's like, what do you mean? What is it that you have to text me that's so important that more importantly that it's a text and not even a phone call? Let's start there.
And that's the thing, right? The difference between text and phone call. If my wife calls me while I'm at work, if I have a missed call from my wife while I'm at work, oh, that's important. Let me see what's going on. If I could be sitting at my desk, see my wife's name pop up, look at it, not even open it. Oh, okay, whatever. Get back to doing what I'm doing, right? Because I might be on a timeline.
Yeah.
And if I'm on a time crunch or if I'm sitting in a meeting, whatever's in here that's not a phone call ain't that important. It's not. Because you call. Or you text and call.
Or depending on what the situation is, if it's something to where you're not under duress, you might even pop up here because it's so important.
Exactly.
You know, because you know where I'm at.
Exactly.
So,
but you know what, man? An interesting thing about Devin, whatever his name is, Mr. Not So Good. He was raised by 7 women, and I think it's really important to look at people's backgrounds and their upbringings to see how it creates the human that they are, right? Like I was raised by my mom, had strong male figures in my life, but not in the house, you know. And he also raised single parent. We were having a conversation about there are lessons in manhood that we had to learn as grown men that a lot of our friends learned as boys just because their dad was there. And there are traits that we carry because we were taught to be a man by a woman that are less masculine than we would like for them to be. But at the end of the day, it is what it is because ain't nobody doing a full sale like change of their personality. Now it's like, hey, bro, I am who I am, right? But when you're a man raised by women, sometimes you see things differently, and sometimes that feminine perspective is better. Other times it turns into some simp ass shit like this. Like, I remember my mama not, waiting on that man, and he didn't call back for 3 days, and come to find out he done moved across town with his other old lady. I don't want to be that man. I don't ever want to put a woman through that. All right, then. Tell her when you go to the fucking bathroom and take a piss then, nigga. Hey, yo, my ball's itch right now. I'm about to scratch him. Hey, well, real quick, Parlay P, as we get out of this, right? I don't want to stay with this one too long, but I found it super interesting because I think it sits around where we're at with this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And the tweet was really it was interesting, and I'm going to see which way you want to go with it, but I think it was
Barack Obama, when he was president of the United States,
no, not you.
is the most
No,
about that.
not you. Men will literally choose a shy, feminine woman with 0 achievements over an arrogant career woman. We don't care if you have even won a Nobel Prize. And I found it to be so interesting because a dude posted it. But when I first read it, I didn't pay attention to the page that it came from. I read it as if a woman was complaining about it and trying to speak to men's fear of dealing with an independent, accomplished woman.
Right.
And it's such an interesting conversation because myself, friends I've talked to, most of us aren't impressed by women's professional accolades. Not to say that they aren't good, but it's not part of the calculus of what we want. Yes, it's great if you provide more income to this family. Yeah, fucking right, I'll take it. We'll do great things. But you being the valedictorian and Phi Beta Gamma, whatever that thing is, honor graduate.
Yeah. Summa cum laude.
Yeah, like that's not what gets my blood.
Magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, like that doesn't get my blood rushing. It's great. And I think that women who try to define themselves based off their accomplishments are missing the boat on what a man is looking for in a woman. Unless you're getting you like a bum ass hood nigga who's gonna drive your car while you at work.
Which is typically what those chicks end up with anyways, normally. Or either that or they do literally find, like, if they are a lawyer, they find a doctor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they do this too, but like,
they're unhappy.
There's really no in between when it comes to those, though. Normally, at least based on the examples and stuff that I've seen throughout my life, it's always a super accomplished chick, either with an ain't shit type dude or with a dude that literally is her equal. Yeah, it's her equal. And then this is the in between. They're a single woman. Like, you know what I mean? But they're like 35. That's the in between. No kids, no divorce. Yeah, no nothing. Ain't posted a nigga since Instagram started. Yeah. Dog, it's saddening sometimes to see it though, because
they become so obsessed with what they've accomplished. And it's like, hey, man, all he wants is a back rub and a little head.
It assumes their identity because they feel as if, well, that's all I've worked for my entire life. So it's kind of like, this is my image. Like, this is it. There is no, well, outside of this, I like to do this. Because there is no, I like to do this.
You know how many Spelmanites I've asked? Like, they talk about, like, I don't really know what to do with myself now. And I go, well, what are your hobbies? I don't know. What do you mean? What, you don't know your hobbies? Like, how do you not know your hobbies? Like, what do you do when you have spare time? Nothing. I like maybe watch some Netflix. I'm like, you don't have like a favorite restaurant, a favorite bar, friends?
Do you like sports at all?
Sports?
Like in any type of capacity, whether you think Rick Fox is fine or something, like you don't have like something that you
play cards? Do you have a passion project? Like,
do you like to do an art and sip type thing? I mean,
nah, just the rose. That's it. I don't know, man. I go back to that Ebony K. Williams conversation that we had a few weeks ago. And the lady that she was talking to, whose name I don't remember, I apologize. But she just talked about women trying to capture too much masculine energy and be men to men. And it's like, I don't want to fuck dudes. So you acting like a dude and like using this testosterone that you're generating to say, I'm the best. That doesn't do it for me. I don't want you to want to be better than me.
right.
And not because of me or my fragile ego. I do those conversations with my friends where we compete and we get upset because you're going to come here with like a level of fucking estrogen that you carry because you're a woman and you provide balance to men that I don't want that in competitive environments. But when I come to you, I want the estrogen. I want the, why do you care so much about winning your fantasy league? It's not that serious.
Right.
No, it fucking is. I don't want to lose to gambles. Like you get beat by Julian Turner. Sunday's ruined.
Well, you can just mail it in for the rest of the season. That means your team's not ready to compete for a championship anyways.
Imagine back-to-back weeks. Imagine a 3-week stretch. Sorry, Wayne, getting beat by Eric Boyd, Julian Turner, and Wayne.
And then the Falcons go, if you're, well, depending on who your team is, but in our case, the Falcons, then the Falcons go 1-2 in that stretch. And like, they're just like losing like games that they should have won type shit to go along with the insult to injury in fantasy. All because a guy like Jamal Williams had 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. Or better yet, an actual real example, a guy like Taysom Hill just randomly gets like 5 touchdowns in a game. And that's why you lost. Like, you lost because that guy showed up and he decided to start him that week for whatever reason.
Or like that time I beat you because Lockett went crazy. Like, I expected 8-9 points. Nigga goes off for like 35. And you're like, I got my ass kicked today.
Yeah.
But this one man put the team on his back.
We put the right. Everybody else was single digits, but this guy got 35, and then I got 0 out of somebody. My defense gave me -2, and then I got 0 from somebody like if I didn't have him. Well, I did at the end of the year, but like a guy like Kyle Pitts just gives you a donut hole out of nowhere, and he had like the easiest tight end matchup of the week.
And it's one of those weeks when you go in, like you're confident, but you have certain weeks. Who cares what ESPN says? You go, I'm probably going to lose this week. Yeah, I'm going to throw something out there. I'm going to grab a guy off the waiver wire who's probably not going to work. Not even the Wednesday waiver wire. I'm talking about the Friday, the Saturday waiver wire. Like,
right.
We're drunk and I'm at your house and like, hold on, let me see if this is going to work this week. It's like, I'm mailing it in.
Right.
And then that random backup tight end. Like, I remember Julius Thomas or no. the tight end for the Commanders who played at
Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas.
He was the quarterback at VTech.
Yeah, I picked him up one random week and he had like 2 red zone tubs. And it's like, you won. You won this week.
Right.
Because Kittle is on bye. You were the tight end there, and you got 2 red zone looks.
Right. And you practically did just as much, if not more, than what Kittle would have done anyways. 2
catches, 6 yards, 2 tubs.
Yeah.
All right, man. Where do you want to go next?
Well, we might as well move on to the game tonight. You know, big game 3, shocking game 2 loss by Denver.
How shocking was it?
It was shocking, I think, because they were up 15 in the second half. And they were at home where they were 34-7 this year and undefeated in the playoffs. So it was a little shocking that they blew that lead. Is it shocking necessarily that they lost? No, because Miami's been road warriors the entire playoffs. And like I said, they have this culture and this, they have a way of the Heat way. They have a way of doing things. And they're not a team that mails it in. Like if the Grizzlies were down 20, they'd mail it in because that's just like, they mail it in. Like the Heat are the type of team that does not, they just don't mail it in. The Heat could have still lost by 20 and like they didn't mail it in.
You think Memphis would mail it in or shoot it out?
At this point, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Because then Dylan Brooks is taking shots. Ja is shooting from deep. It's the same thing.
You know what, though? I was watching game 1 with the wife, right? And I was telling her, even though Miami, they got it to like 9 or whatever, I'm like, this game is closer than it looks. She's like, they're down by 17. I go, I know, but they are. Jimmy's playing terribly. They're
Strus and Gabe Vincent have combined for 3 points.
Yeah, and it's like there's some spots here where you can see where they're actually playing decent defense. Like they're just not making shots. Like they can get hot. And yes, Austin, we're early today because we have responsibilities and whatnot. But we had a comment. But yeah, so I didn't expect Miami to win the way that they did in game 2, but I was not shocked that they won that way. When I saw them come out gangbusters, I go, okay, we know Denver's going to make a run, but I didn't expect Denver to make the run, to go up. I expected Denver to make the run, and then Miami to have that 5 to 10 point lead throughout the game. It gets to 3-1. Then it gets back up to 5, down. I expect Miami to lead throughout the game. Instead, they won the first 8 minutes and the last 8 minutes.
They outscored them by 26, 27 points within that span. Because they were right. Denver was down 21-10 at one point in that game, and then somehow was up 15. So they outscored them by 26 within that run between the end of the first and towards the end of the second.
And I'll tell you one thing that really stuck out to me was Draymond and Steve Kerr talking about the game. And when Steve Kerr said that superstar Jamal Murray is the head of the snake. And it got pushed back and all of this and media people trying to say, well, I think what Steve Kerr meant was, no. Steve Kerr said exactly what he meant because, for one, he was a media guy before he was a coach. So he knows how to talk live on mic. He plays against his team, scouted his team, beat the hell out of them last year in the playoffs. Top 3 coach in the league right now?
Kerr?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Steve Kerr knows what the hell he's talking about when he says, no, Jamal Murray is the head of the snake. Jokic can go crazy. We can still beat them. We expect Jokic to get great numbers every night. Jamal Murray ain't that. He's inconsistent. When Jamal Murray gets great numbers, you cannot beat them. That's why he's the head of the snake. If we cut off Jamal Murray, we win.
That, and then one of the key things too, typically when your number 2 guy isn't doing his job, the expectation is that either there's a bench player that really steps up or your third best player is going to step up. And in this case, Michael Porter had 5 points, man. And that's just not going to get it done. When your third best player, and because Jamal Murray somewhat showed up in the fourth quarter, which is how they got it to where they had a chance to at least tie the game before it ended. But Michael Porter was non-existent the entire game. I don't remember seeing him make any shots. I know he had 5 points, but I don't even remember watching him make a shot.
Well, his head coach called him out in the post-game presser. He's like, we can't be pouting around when we're not making shots. It's like, oh, we know who you're talking about, buddy. How do you feel about Mike Malone? How do you feel about Mike Malone, period? Mike Malone has become a fucking he's working in media when he's done coaching. Like, he is a soundbite artist.
I like him personally. I mean, you know what's crazy? A lot of people, for that brief time that he was even in Sacramento, I didn't think he was a bad coach. He kind of just he got chopped because that's just what happens in Sacramento. Guys get chopped when they go there. And he was only there for 2 years. It wasn't but he was there towards the end of the Boogie Cousins kind of thing. And they were just in a weird spot. They weren't going to be competitive, but he also had a player like Boogie. Like, that's who he had to deal with too, to a degree. Like, that's what you had to deal with. And that's a dude that had a very big temper, but obviously was supremely talented. And so I think that he got the best type of restart that he could get in Denver because they were patient with him. 1, 2, he did a pretty good job. Obviously Jokic was still a late second round pick. He's got to be a part of the development of him as a player. And I'm not saying that Jokic didn't always have it in him, and maybe he just was overlooked, but he's done a really good job of developing them and having them play a brand of basketball that doesn't get the praise maybe that it should, if that makes any sense. Because when people look at the Warriors brand of basketball, they're like, well, that's that brand of basketball. But Denver plays a really nice brand of basketball too.
Denver plays basketball that if you're a basketball player and you're not a star, you'd enjoy playing.
Yep.
Because KCP gets a lot of shots.
Bruce Brown gets a lot of shots.
I hate Bruce Brown. He might be my least favorite.
Is it because he got Lana Rhodes pregnant? Is that part of it?
No, I don't. I'm not a Lana Rhodes guy. I haven't. I'm not a Pornhub guy. I just go in my bedroom, buddy.
I'm with you. Look, I like the real thing too,
No, but on a serious note, is if you're a supporting player, you get the ball. Now, if you are because I gave some pushback to the way they played over the past few years because I thought that it was too Joker and Jamal Murray dependent. But now seeing the roster that they have, the roster was not properly configured for them to play through Joker and Jamal Murray in the same way that they're playing now, because it's one of those things where, all right, KCP can shoot 3, he can make the pull-up. Bruce Brown makes that fucking floater all the time. Jeez.
And threes. He'll make some threes too.
Threes. Michael Porter Jr., he can
do everything.
He can go for 3 or he can go for 30. You're going to get somewhere in between. And the style allows him to do either or. Because if Michael Porter's getting busy,
he can take it to the hole, bro. He can shoot mid-range and he can shoot 3. He can score at all 3 levels. Yeah. No,
he's
got the size too.
Michael Porter is the most talented player on that team.
He is. Well, talented. Yeah, because Jokic is obviously the most skilled.
Yes, most skilled. Yes, yeah. Michael Porter was the prospect, the number 1 guy. 6'10", handle, but he's got a bad back.
Right,
and he's entitled. So it is what it is. But I've enjoyed watching this series, man. It's basketball the way I learned how to play it. So maybe I'm just biased, but I'm not an ISO high pick and roll every single time down the floor guy. Like I actually like ball movement. I like people movement. I did my best scoring when we would run plays and I would get open. Oh shit. An open shot from the elbow.
Right.
At the three, pump fake, one dribble pull up. Oh, that's a great shot.
This is what the play designs. It designs to where if we run it through, somebody will eventually get in their space to where they will have that opportunity.
Like, yeah, I remember we used to run this one play, and the first time you ran it, most games, it worked. You pass, screen away, the backside wing runs all the way through. And a lot of times, that first time you run through, they think you're going to stop up top like most motion offenses, right? But you go all the way down, and then you get a bounce pass for a layup. And there's nothing like getting a layup in the offensive set, in the half-court set at your first basket of the game. Shit, I got two. Okay, we're good now.
Yeah, you're settled in, and you know it's going to be a good game typically, too.
Yeah, nothing worse than missing your first 5 shots, man.
Well, that'll find you on the bench quickly, especially if it's not your team. Like if you're not considered the best player on the team, I guess. Like in my case, I wasn't. I was a starter, but like I wasn't considered the best player on the team. So I knew that if my ass was missing shots, especially if I was open and I was missing, I knew I was going to get benched real quick. Like,
but so what do you think in Game 3? You asked me what I would bet today, and I said I would have took Miami on the points. I think Miami wins straight up, but I could see Denver pulling out like a 2-point win. Like I'm not.
And I'm with you. I expect this game being close. Probably the close. Even though this was the last Game 2 was a 3-point game, it wasn't. It felt like at one point both teams were kind of just in control. I think this is going to be more of a nip and tuck type of game where it's a back and forth kind of. They've taken the lead. Maybe at one point the biggest lead will be maybe 7 points type thing, to where it's just like, and now they've got their largest lead of the game and they're up 7, and it'll be like, you know, one of those type games, as opposed to, oh, it's a game of runs. They came out hot, they're cold, now they're hot, now they're cold. I don't think it'll be like that. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth in this game, and that this could be ultimately maybe the closest game of the series, if that makes any sense, in a sense of this game is so important for both teams because Denver doesn't want to fall 1-2 knowing that they have to win Game 4. They won't necessarily have to win game. They really will going to need to, though, to win Game 4. And then vice versa, if you look at Miami and they go down 2-1, now Game 4 turns into this is damn near an elimination game, because if we don't win this game, we sure as fuck aren't going back to Denver to bring it back to Miami for Game 6, because they're not going to allow that. They're going to close out like they've done everybody else when they had a chance to. But I expect a close game. I expect it to be – I wouldn't be surprised at all if Miami covers that 3.5. But I'm going to lean Denver just because I think they're the better team. So – I like to go with the better team. I know that there's momentum and stuff, but I also don't expect Caleb Martin to shoot he shot the fucking lights out in Game 2. He did, because Jimmy, honestly, crazy enough, Jimmy did not even really have a crazy game. He scored a lot of his buckets in the fourth quarter too. He was on par of having the same game he had in Game 2, and he probably closed out with like 23 points, but he scored like 10 of those points in the fourth quarter. So
I'm banking on Jimmy having a game.
For sure, because he hasn't really had one yet.
But I'm also banking on Jimmy having a very invasive, intrusive ankle surgery at the end of the playoffs.
I think the key to this game is going to be a couple of things. On Denver's end, at least, is Michael Porter going to show up? And can Jamal Murray get his stroke going early? Can he come out and, you know, if he shoots 5 threes in the first half, can he go 3 of 5? You know, can he get hot enough in that first half to where, you know that he's in the game, as opposed to kind of checking out, or Jokic kind of having to be the one that kind of has to put the team on his back to carry it for a little bit? Are those two guys going to play well? If they play well, I don't see why they would lose. But
Based on Jamal Murray's career history, he's due to play badly again because the string of good games he put together in the Western Conference Finals, followed by a good game one, tells me, yeah, game two was more so I expected a step back, even though he had a great fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray is not a superstar, and I'll continue to say this. Not because of his talent and his ceiling. It's because of the consistency in which he plays at his floor. The best of the best, their floors are elevated, and you don't see the floor too often. You know what I mean? It's one of those houses where you walk in on the second story.
Yeah.
You know?
3 out of 4 of those games, they're always going to bring the goods. And then that one game when they don't bring the goods, if they're a 25-point-a-night guy, that bad game's an 18-point game.
No,
but they even made up for it in other ways in that bad game when they couldn't score the way they wanted to.
Or it's still a 25-point game, but it's like you're 9 for 28.
Yeah. Well, like kind of like what KD was doing against Denver.
Yeah. Hey, I got there.
I was about to say KD was getting to 30, and then you looked up and you're like, well, fuck, he took 30 shots. He took 30 shots and he missed a couple free throws here and there, which is a little weird. And so I expect that. And then even on the Miami front, even more so, like I said, Denver to me kind of dictates the series. Are they going to be able to defend the perimeter? Because that seemed like that was the biggest issue in game two. Obviously, them shooting 49% from three, tough break. I mean, but are they going to be able to defend the perimeter, or are they going to, let these guys get these shots, or where they over defend it so much to where Duncan Robinson gets to drive to the hole and get kind of a layup in or whatever. And then he's getting in people's faces. Like, is it going to be one of those type of things?
Duncan showed it a little bit in the Celtics series. He can actually put the ball on the floor and be a competent basketball player. Like, I think Duncan Robinson has better handles and playmaking skills than Jaylen Brown.
I think that's a little hot takey, but I'll let it go. I mean, continue. Have
you watched Jaylen Brown dribble the ball?
I have watched Jaylen Brown dribble the ball. I don't know about Duncan Robinson being a better playmaker than him, but I get your point. I think you're just going a little extreme with it, but I get what you're trying. I think you're just trying to take a shot at Jaylen Brown. I don't think you're really giving props to Duncan Robinson.
I'm a Jaylen Brown fan.
I know. We both want him here.
Because look, DeJounte would dribble the ball for you.
That, and then he can defend. He can defend. And so.
Come on home, man. Shit, Trey done scrubbed Atlanta from his. We're not there yet. I forgot to. Let me add that to the big board. We're still staying with the finals. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on Eric Spoelstra's comments to Ramona Shelburne after the game? Now, full disclosure, I'm not a Ramona Shelburne fan. She wrote the article about what's the Clippers owner's name?
Steve Ballmer.
No, old owner.
Donald Sterling.
Donald Sterling. She wrote the article about Donald Sterling's wife after the whole thing and how it painted her out to be a victim of her greedy husband. I'm like, no, she made out with money in this, and she look here. If she didn't know that her husband was a disgusting racist, like from what he told her in the bedroom, she could see his business practices, and that would tell you the same fucking thing. Okay, like get out of here, right? But because that article painted her like as a victim of him, I've been done with Ramona ever since. I'm like, hey, she's not a victim. You should not write that article in that way. She's the slave master. She's the slave master's wife who gets pounded out by Jebo, and then when Jebo gets caught, Jebo gets killed. You know what I mean? And she goes, "He raped me." No, he didn't. No. Same thing. You're not a victim here, Miss Billionaire who made billions of dollars in the selling of the team. You know. But anyways, how did you feel about the way that Spo addressed her question of making making a Joker score instead of making him a passer?
Being a facilitator.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Spo's a professional. We know this. You could argue that Spo's really been one of the, I think he's getting his credit, but like at the same time, a lot of what he accomplished before with his titles and stuff, we give LeBron James a lot of credit for that. You know what I mean? He gets a lot of credit, the vets and everything. I think it was just on par with the Heat way. You know, I don't think that he was out of line or anything. I think that he kept it real with her.
Hey, he's too good for that.
You know? Yeah. And that it was just one of those things where she's a reporter that works for ESPN.
She's a reporter.
And I'm sure too, speaking of after the game, did you see the Bam Adebayo video?
Oh, I told you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's talking to somebody.
Bro, I saw it live like after the post-game interview.
Justice said that he had seen it live too. And I was like, I did not see it live. I didn't, or at least I wasn't paying attention to seeing that. But yeah, obviously they caught it on TV. So it was like, what was that all about? You know? They made it seem like the dude was like following him or something, basically. And I guess that he had told him like to stop doing that or something. I don't know.
Look here, man. I support what Eric Spoelstra did. I really loved listening to the media defend Ramona Shelburne and say how Spoelstra was probably, it's probably gamesmanship and what Spoelstra was saying. It's one of those things, Parlay Pete, where I love that when the expert calls out the analyst and explains to them why they're wrong or they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then the whole media community rallies behind the media to explain why the person who does it was wrong for what they said and how the media was probably right about what they said. And it goes, so you are a self-sucking dick. You know what I mean? Like, I can come do an audit. I can come do some advising for Loader Express, right? I could go through your whole thing and give you an analysis of your company.
Right.
And I can say, hey, I see this here. Why did you do this here? Because this doesn't make sense in my brain. And you go, I did this because of this, and it led to this savings or this profit. And I go, and all my analyst friends go, well, no, based on the books, based on the theories, he should have done this, like we said. This is why you should go to this consulting firm because they got the right answers.
Right.
So I got the result that I wanted. And this is why I got the result that I wanted. And it's different than your analysis. I'm the doer. You're the talker. Shut the fuck up. Am I off there? Because I think the media should be able to criticize players, coaches, GMs, and all of that, right? But at what point is it that it's like, hey, media, no, you're fucking wrong. Shut up.
That's just, but I think that's like, that's a part of it. It comes with the territory, right? They're going to be right in some instances. They're going to be wrong a lot more than they're going to be right anyways, because they're just the outside looking in, just like the rest of us, right? We don't really know. There are certain things, of course, we can obviously point out and say, hey, what the fuck was that? Like, any fan, anyone that knows the game can point that stuff out. It's a thin line, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, between them knowing their role and just shutting their mouth. Just hate to pull the rock out right there, but kind of knowing like when just not just like say shit. But it's the media. And do you think ESPN's ever gonna I don't know what type of deal they have with ABC, but do you think that the NBA finals will ever transition over to TNT? Because I think a lot of more people would love to be hearing Ernie, Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny talk this.
I think that TNT needs to get a better color commentator, and they can do it. Reggie Miller.
No. But who knows? Maybe TNT pulls in ESPN.
Maybe TNT goes and grabs Doc Rivers. He's not coaching anymore.
Plus, he was already doing it anyways beforehand. That was what Doc was doing before he was coaching.
You know what? I wouldn't be mad at Stan Van Gundy if he could do it without Reggie Miller. I don't think Stan is bad on TV. I just don't want to hear Reggie. Like, I don't know if I talked about this on the pod, but listening to Reggie on TV talk, you're not gonna make me believe he was this great trash talker that they said he was. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we didn't see it, but we seen the clips.
We saw this and all that, but you know,
but he was hooting and hollering at fucking Spike that whole game.
But what was he saying? Was it actually something of value? You know, like
he looked like he was just cursing at him a lot. That's what it looked like to me.
Like when we hear Shannon talk to Skip and the way he talks shit on TV, you go, yeah, nah, that nigga was talking cash money on the football field, bro. Like, that ain't nothing I wanted to deal with, just as a talker. But then you hear Reggie calling the games. 3 ball, corner pocket, Klay Thompson. Nigga, shut up. It's bad suits. So
Mark Jackson or Reggie Miller? Because I know you're not a big. You don't like Mark either.
Give me Mark Jackson because at least he says stuff that's so stupid I laugh at it. I'm telling you, if Mark Jackson wants a coaching job, he's got to take a year off of TV.
What about him talking about knocking Savannah James out of the park? With all due respect.
It was taken out of context.
So
it was not, I think he tried to make the sexual innuendo. Don't get me wrong.
But obviously was really talking about baseball. Softball.
Yeah, he's talking about her softball career and her pitching, and he's saying I would knock her out of the park.
But he said with all due respect. That's where to me the fucking sexual innuendo, because he caught himself, but then he kind of let it roll anyways.
With all due respect as a pitcher to her skills.
He didn't say as a pitcher afterwards, though.
I'm just telling you what he could have been aiming for.
I'm telling you what we heard.
We know
what he said.
I'm telling you, he looked at it and said, yeah, I'd knock her out the fucking park. That's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
You know he's on Clutch, right?
Mark Jackson?
Yeah, he's a Clutch client.
Really?
Yeah.
Bron really want to take over the league, man. That's crazy.
Right. You know who else is a Clutch client, too? Shams.
Is he?
Yeah, you know, Shams and Chris Haynes kind of broke a big story this week that we forgot to put on the big board that we're going to talk about now. Thanks for the
which story?
Kyrie's allegedly recruiting.
Oh man, I don't want to hear that. Don't you?
Dallas. Do you believe it?
Yeah, I think that if Kyrie could have it his way, that's the way he would rather do it, because he gets to make more money staying in Dallas. And Luka, you could argue, playing with a guy like LeBron would be a little bit more solid in a sense of, because of AD's injury history, it would just be better to do it in Dallas as opposed to going to LA for it, if that makes any sense. So, like, I think that aspect of it, yeah, but the realisticness of it, no. I think that he knows that that's not going to happen. So it's just kind of like a stupid thing to put out there.
I think that Luka could use the mentorship of a LeBron because Luka is better game in and game out than LeBron's. Definitely statistically, right?
Right.
Luka's still clutch as hell. Luka makes big shots, takes big shots.
And he's proven it, right?
Yeah, but I also think there is some OG that LeBron can give Luka that maybe LeBron, KD, Steph. I can't think of many other players in the league who can give Luka that OG that I talk about all the time. How Ty Luka tell LeBron to shut the fuck up in Game 7 when he was trying to tell him what they're going to do at halftime. And LeBron shut the fuck up and let Ty Lue coach his team. I think LeBron can give Luka some of that same shut the fuck up. Like, hey, dog, I hear you. But, nah, you're fat. Get in shape.
But you know what? But the issue, too, shouldn't Jason Kidd be able to do that in reality? Like, because of the caliber of player he was in the league. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer himself. So It was on the 75 team, right?
He should have been. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I think he was, because I think they showed him with the Jordan backstage when Jordan and Magic were doing the.
I mean, let's be real.
Where your shoes at?
I mean, Jason Kidd was one of the best point guards of our lives.
For sure. Yeah. That man drug a Nets team that had no business going to back-to-back NBA finals
Yeah.
I don't care if they only won one game combined between both series.
And he was a very key contributor to Dallas beating LeBron in 11. And he helped.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, bro, you're not gonna get any Jason Kidd slander as a basketball player out of me. But I don't know if Luka will take it from Jason in that way because of the way that the franchise is built. Like, Haralabob they got rid of Haralabob because of Luka. They got rid of what's my man's name? Rick, the coach.
Rick Carlisle.
Because of Luka. Like,
well, they got Donnie Nelson.
Yeah, they sent him packing too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because of Luka. So Luka has so much juice in that building. And Mark Cuban is so desperate to keep a star because he can't fucking sign a free agent to save his life.
Which is why they traded all that to get Kyrie.
Yeah, bro, they're on eggshells. So I think LeBron comes from a place of power, and he's like, bro, I got 4, and if you want 1, you need me to be me. And you know what I can do? I can rebound just as well as you can. I can demand the ball. J Kidd's my guy. I'll put you in the corner in the fourth quarter.
But if you break it down too, there just is no realisticness to that. How does that even work? They would not be able to make that trade. They've traded everything to get Kyrie. They have nothing to trade to get LeBron anyways. And I don't think that LeBron can opt out this summer. So
no, he can't.
So like there's no path for that. What is the path? There is no fucking path. You'd have to get so goddamn creative, like you'd be gutting the team completely of what you do even have. What's that? Kleba. I mean, what are those guys really worth? Kleba, Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe an even further distance first round pick. I mean, I don't know. Like, what else?
Bring in a third team.
And then what? Like, I mean, like, I don't know how that works because the Lakers aren't willingly, even if LeBron tells him, I want out of here, and he demands a trade. I don't think that Jeannie and Rob are working with him to make it so sweet.
It depends on what they can get because they still want that salary. They want that slot, right? They want to be able to have somebody, and they will want a max player, not jump, so they can have that max salary so they can deal with bird rights and going over the cap, all that weird CBA shit
right.
that we don't understand, and I don't have any desire to understand, honestly.
Right. And then go ahead.
No, you keep going.
Well, and it was kind of going to break into the next kind of topic with it. And then now you got Chris Paul.
Let's close out the hour then. Let's close out the hour. We're at 58 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, guys, that's hour 1. What do we talk? We talked about some simping. We talked about women. We talked about the finals, and we talked about LeBron and Luka. We're going to kick off hour 2 with Phoenix waving goodbye to Chris Paul.